Hey everyone, Dave Brown here with the New Populist. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Now, we are facing an epidemic in this country. No, I'm not talking about COVID-19. We are facing an epidemic of very, very unserious people in positions of power or running for positions of power within our country. Now, the first person that jumps to mind, of course, has to be AOC. She's so moronic, so stupid, so unserious, yet she's been promoted by the mainstream media and even talked about as a future contender for president. And you have to stop and just scratch your head and go, how do we get to this point where we have become this unserious? And it's not just her. We're seeing this everywhere. Morons, people who act like children, running for Congress, running for governor. Now, there's one race in particular that really highlights this, and this is this race out in Arizona for governor. You have Kari Lake, the Republican, and you have Katie Hobbs, the Democrat. Now, I've watched interviews with Katie Hobbs, and what strikes me is that she has the demeanor, the posture, the voice of a teenage girl. And I don't say that to be insulting toward women, because you have Kari Lake, who is the exact opposite. She is an adult, and if I were in Arizona, I would 100% support her and vote for her. So this is not a gender thing. It just so happens that this particular race between Katie Hobbs and Kari Lake, it really exemplifies this the most. I want to play a clip of both of them, and I want you to watch them. And like I said, pay attention to their body language, their voice, their demeanor. And I want you to ask yourself, who of these two people is actually an adult? Roll the tape.
Now to Katie Hobbs. She is the Democratic nominee for governor, and she's also in Phoenix this morning. Secretary Hobbs, good morning. Welcome to Face the Nation. So your opponent said you don't want to debate. I'd like to ask you, are there any conditions under which you would agree to debate Kari Lake so the voters of Arizona could hear from the two of you side by side and in real time?
Look, what I have been focused on is opportunities like this where they can see us back to back and hear directly from us about the issues that are important to Arizonans and how we would govern without a circus like she created during the GOP Republican primary. I have no desire to be a part of the spectacle that she's looking to create because that doesn't do any service to the voters of Arizona to hear from us where we stand on the issues and how we would govern.
So sometimes voters learn things from moments of duress or challenge or circus. Don't you think you're strong enough to handle any kind of circus Kari Lake might present, if in fact she were to present one? Don't the voters of Arizona deserve to see that real?
I think the voters of Arizona have had a chance to see how I work under crisis throughout my leadership during the 2020 election as Secretary of State, when we had to combat multiple election challenges from former President Trump and his band of election deniers, including my opponent, Kari Lake.
Republican Kari Lake, who joins us from Phoenix. Good morning and welcome to Face the Nation.
Good morning, Major. Thank you so much for having me on. Just to clarify, I have agreed to any and all debates, and I will be taking part in one without my opponent next week on the 12th. I would love it if she would show up because I think there's a lot of important issues that the people of Arizona need to hear about.
We will get to that, I promise. Your website is detailed and specific on the question of immigration and border security. You call, if elected as governor, for Arizona to join other states to form what you call a compact to carry out border security separate from the federal government, including arrest and detention. For the benefit of Arizona voters, can you explain the legal and practical application of this approach?
Well, Of course, if you know the Constitution, you know that Article 4, Section 4 calls for the federal government to protect us from invasion. And under Joe Biden's lack of leadership, we just aren't seeing that. And we have an invasion at our border. The cartels, these narco-terrorist groups have operational control, and they're using Arizona to smuggle people, to traffic children, and to traffic the most dangerous drug we've ever seen, fentanyl. And so we're going to invoke our Article 1, Section 10, basically authority to take care of our own border and protect our own border. It's right there in black and white in the Constitution, and we meet all three criteria. We have an invasion, our people are in imminent danger, and time is of the essence. There's no time for delay. So we're going to have other states offer help. I've already got a couple other governors who are willing to help out. And I know that if you ask people in other states that are not border states, they deem this crisis on the border as one of the top issues facing our country.
Would Arizona...
So many young people dying of fentanyl poisoning.
So now you've seen it. What do you think? You have Katie Hobbs, who is... And then you have Carrie Lake, who answers questions, maintains eye contact, and appears to function and act like an adult. How did Katie Hobbs ever get to this position? And how are we as a country enabling these children? And this is very scary because right now, more than ever, we are at a moment of time, or in time, where we need freaking adults. We have Putin in Russia, we have Xi Jinping in China, and we have in the United States a dementia patient who runs around grabbing children, sniffing their hair. What the hell is going on? It's scary. Because guess what? Those two countries, Russia and China, they're watching. And they have to be saying to themselves, are you kidding me? Yes, the United States has the biggest military. Yes, we have the biggest economy. But those two countries, they're playing a long game. China, they think in decades, not years. Russia, they've had the same person in power for the last 20 years. They're playing the long game. And they're watching as our country sort of devolves into this clown world, this clown nation of people who can't even figure out what a female is. How do you get to that level of stupidity at a national level and still maintain your status in the world? Now, this collapse won't happen overnight, but if we keep on allowing these very, very unserious people get into positions of power, that collapse is coming eventually. There is no way we can maintain this with the level of just morons in our government. And so whatever race you're paying attention to, wherever you're voting, I want you to ask yourself, when you look at the two candidates, which of these people is an adult? Which of these people actually have some sort of gravitas, something that shows that you would respect them as a leader? I'll say this, Hillary Clinton, can't stand her. Just makes me sick. But there was never a moment where I thought that she wasn't an adult or a serious person. She is a very serious person. Ask the people in the Middle East. Ask Gaddafi. Ask anybody that has evidence of her crimes. She is a very serious person. I never doubted that. But now we have Kamala Harris as vice president, a cackling idiot who over and over again makes herself look ridiculous. And then I see people in the mainstream media saying, oh, she's being picked on because she's a woman of color. She's being picked on because she's so incredibly stupid that is frightening, especially when the sitting president is an inch away from being finished, 1 foot in the grave. And then she could rise up and become president, a complete moron. So this is what our country is fighting. We're not just fighting Russia and China. We are fighting this internal war against idiots, morons, and unserious people who are in control of our government. And if that continues, we are absolutely finished. That's the truth, and that's where we're heading. Well, that's it for now. Again, if you are new to the channel, Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.